What's up, guys, and welcome back to Tech Plant. Today we're going to be trying to dispel your fears around rot and propagation. Let's check it out. Alright, so here is my propagations that I had forgotten about. These have probably been in this jar for like 6 months, but I haven't been using my grow lights very much. The plant room is a mess, and so these kind of got neglected. And as you can see, the roots are in a horrible condition. They are completely rotted out along with parts of the stem. So we're going to try and reverse this rotting and save these plants. And we're really just going to be cleaning them up. I'm not going to do a lot of cutting because sometimes I think that is not the way to go. So we're testing out a new theory here. So what we're going to actually do to try and save these is pull away all the soft rotted tissues. So anything that you can pull off should be pulled off. Feel free to tug and wipe as hard as you can just to get every little bit off. Once I've got the bulk removed, then I'm going to take it over to a sink and use an actual Brillo pad and further remove any of the rotting tissue here. I want to try and basically clean out the wounds, so to speak, of all the rotting material and leave what's healthy left. In the past, I might try just cutting stuff off, but I've found that the plant is already trying to section off parts of the stem, if that makes any sense, and block the rotting. You'll sort of see how that takes place a little further on in the video. So sometimes cutting it just opens up the wound again and circumvents what the plant is naturally trying to do. So again, we're just going to wash the wounds out really good, get all the rotting material out, and try and refresh it from there. As you can see from our cleaning job, they still look pretty darn rough, but it does look clean, and that is the important part. You'll see as time progresses over the course of about a month what actually happens to these things. So we're going to put them in some very clean water and set these under the grow lights again for about a week. Now, a week has passed, and you can see it looks pretty darn bad. The water is really nasty. I completely forgot about these again. It's like a habitual thing at this point. But I probably should have changed the water a lot early on to sort of mitigate the water getting so nasty and encouraging even more rotting. You can see here that there's already a lot of floppiness and a lot of rotting tissue, so we're going to do the same thing in the sink. This time I'm not going to film it, but I am just doing the exact same thing you saw in previous footage. So here they are all cleaned up. We got a lot more of that fiber. It seems like the fiber does not break down at all. It's actually quite resilient here to the rot because it's probably some sort of base material. I don't even know what you would call it, but it's not like cellular. It's more like the skeletal structure or something. I don't know. I'm just making things up at this point. But anyways, I got all the soft stuff off, and we're going to try again. I am pretty darn lucky that these are multi-nodal cuttings. If you had just one of those single mid cuts, it would have been toast right away most likely. But we're lucky that we have a little bit of room to spare here. Alright, about 10 days has passed, and luckily the water's not looking bad. I am trying a new light setup here and table setup. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think it looks a little more fresh and clean. I love the backlighting. But anyways, looking at the plants, we can see there's actual new growth, which is really exciting. When you can see growth, usually that means you're pretty much clear sailing at this point because it's starting to grow instead of rot. So this is a huge breakthrough in our rotting plants. Now, it might be kind of hard to tell in the footage because you can't hold these things, but if you've noticed from all the previous footage, there's basically a point on the branch that it sectioned off its own healthy tissue from the rotting tissue, and we've just basically watched everything on the other side of that rot away and become just the husky fibers, but everything above that has been pretty healthy and maintained that healthiness. And this is why I said earlier, maybe it's not always worth it to just cut off the entire end, because you might reset where the plant has sort of cordoned off its own structure, if that makes any sense. I don't know what's going on in there. Maybe if someone has a biology background, they can inform me, but it really seems like these plants know how to cordon off the rot and just protect themselves. So that's why I'm liking this new strategy. This time I did rinse it a little bit under high pressured water. I did not use the Brillo pad or anything, and my water is slightly chlorinated, so that might help disinfect it a little bit. Hard to really say what role that plays, but I did try and clean off a little bit of the fuzz and any sort of slightly dead decaying matter, just to keep it nice and clean so it can continue to heal and grow. Alright, another 8 days has passed, and we are at almost an entire month since the very start of this, and you can see there's a lot of new growth sprouting everywhere on all of the growths. Things are looking fantastic. At this point, it is like a home run. I have no fear of the rot. Everything feels nice and firm. It is sectioned off things properly, and the only thing we have left really is those fibers. So all the black stuff that you see is not rot. It's more of a callus sort of material. It's not anything I'm concerned about, and I see this all the time on my propagation. So I don't feel anything soft, and this was a complete success of bringing these totally rotten plants back to life. Well, guys, that pretty much sums up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You can sort of see when to panic, when not to panic, and how to deal with rot. Now, for those of you who do have those like tiny mid cuts you paid way too much money for, you're doomed because you probably most likely don't have enough time or material for that rot to sort of slow down. But for anybody else, there is a good chance you can turn things around, and hopefully you saw that in this video. If you've got any comments or if you've experienced something similar, let me know. As always, may your plants go strong and healthy. Keep experimenting. I'll see you next time.